Very good morning and good afternoon to all of you. I'm indeed honored and privileged to be here this morning to participate in the National Management Symposium of LIBA under the banner Insight 13. I understand that this is the 8th edition of the symposium. I appreciate the organizers selecting the theme of VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I'm equally fascinated by the concept note that underscores the need for a different kind of VUCA. That is one that vision, understanding, clarity, and agility as ingredients. My presence here is also both figuratively, literally, a VUCA, because I am substituting our MD and CEO, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, who was supposed to address this August gathering. Today, my MD and CEO, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, is receiving an award from the hands of the Finance Minister for the Best Innovation Award for banks. Dr. Rajkumar, in his presentation, was highlighting the importance of innovation and technology, and that people should invest money in technology. Here is a classic case where innovation technology takes the banking sector and the people who use it to enviable heights. So the reason why we won this award for the bank was that we introduced a product called FedBook, which is nothing but your passbook in the mobile. There is no need for you to go to the bank to get your pass sheets or passbook. You can simply have it on your mobile. I know many of you wanted to have this product. For that, I would request you to come and open an account with Federal Bank. I am asked to share my perceptions and prescription to wade through the extraordinary times that we are going through. When Geetanjali called me and asked me to participate in this function, I asked her what should be my role and what should I speak on. She said you wanted to relate VUCA to banking. But I thought it is not enough that if I relate only to banking. I shall take the liberty of briefly touching on the major macroeconomic picture and certain general antidotes for such volatile environments. I would also like to caution my audience that if you anticipate a treatise or textbook on volatility, you are in for some disappointment. I would like to delve on practical gyan, a practical approach, and a very common sense approach to tumultuous times. Whenever I think of volatility and uncertainty, my mind recalls an incident that happened at one of the US airports. The story goes like this. A wealthy American tycoon at the airport repeatedly admonished the porter for various imaginary shortcomings. The black porter bore all the insults calmly, checked in the baggage of his client, and withdrew quietly from the check-in counter to the amazement of his watching colleagues. Why did he put up with this nonsense? His colleagues asked him later. The porter replied, "No problem, mate. I checked him to Chicago O'Hare International Airport and his bags to Florida," replied the porter. Now this is how a majority of the people respond to volatility and uncertainty, that is creating chaos. I was very particularly delighted and also excited when Dr. Rajkumar in his presentation told that you must invest in genetics. The moment he said, I will tell you a sure receipt for making money, I was excited because for two reasons. One, I'm a banker. The other, I don't have money, I want to make money. And I don't have much service left, 1.5 years. So it was a very exciting prescription when he said. But the reason why I'm excited is something totally different from what normally people would have imagined. Because I'm very contented with whatever I have. The reason is, 8 years before, my daughter selected genetics as a subject for her study. I'm sure none of you here would have thought of selecting a subject of genetics. My daughter, when she passed out her +2, I had made her sit for all the entrance examinations. You are at Bangalore that time. All the entrance examinations, engineering, medical, and she sat and she scored high marks in all these examinations. But still she decided that she will not go for engineering or medicine. She said she will go for a BSc genetics in Bangalore. Myself and wife, we were shocked because we wanted her to complete engineering and go for a job at TCS or Infosys, like any parent would like to have. But she was very adamant that she will do only genetics. Finally, we had to let her go her way. She completed genetics. And we thought at the end of graduation, we will try and convince her, saying that even genetics people, Infosys and TCS are taking, so you better go. But she refused. She sat for the entrance examination at the Ramachandra Medical College. She went on to do her post-graduation in genetics. She completed it. And we said, okay, we'll get you married. We will also try for a good job in the bank. Again, she disappointed us. She sat for the CSR fellowship examination for her PhD. She passed out the CSR and she went to the Hyderabad Central University for a project on stem cell research. So I was very happy when Dr. Rajkumar told this because that is the area where at least she will make money. This is a type of VOCA that I feel is very important to the younger generations. How we respond to the times and not go as a herd mentality and choose our area where we like, we wanted to have a vision in that area, and what we do, we must enjoy what we are doing it. I had mentioned at the beginning that I would briefly touch upon the macroeconomic picture. Is the macroeconomic picture evidencing volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity? Yes, there is no two opinion on that. What are the areas as a banker that I see as areas of VOCA in the macroeconomic space? I would name a few items. I will not go into the details. Briefly touch upon them. You are well aware of the exchange rate volatility that is happening in the country today. Bankers are very much sensitive and worried about it. So also is the business community. Rupee depreciating is not one thing that we would all like to have. But this is a phenomenon that is happening in the country today. The Reserve Bank of India and the central government is doing its level best through sentiments as well as through actions to ensure that rupee stabilizes at a reasonable level and the economy bounces back. But in a VUCA environment, how do we address this challenge? This is a classic case of volatility happening, affecting the entire economy. Current account deficit is one thing that is an uncertainty. The country is going through a massive current account deficit, $56 billion. And we are not able to see the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of current account deficit. The government is trying hard, but whether we have the answers. I'm sure people who are studying economics and business management in this prestigious school must think over and come out with some novel ideas, because it's only through ideating that the government can change the scenery and make the growth very, very perceptible. Inflation is another factor that we all know. It is rising almost every day. Inflation is a double-edged weapon which kills more the poor people than the rich people. It's a product of this VUCA, the environment in which we are working now. I will tell a few more also and wind up saying that oil price, we do not know when the oil price is again going to jack up, because oil is going to be the single most commodity in affecting the current account deficit. And of all the factors, the one external factor that is having a greater impact on this environment, economic environment, banking environment, is the Fed tapering or quantitative easing that is coming from the United States. Now, when that happens, the economy will have a shock. Are we prepared to face the shock when the easing in the United States happens? We are not sure. Gold imports. The government found out that the huge appetite for gold among the Indian community is one of the reasons for the great volatility in the balance of trade, and therefore we must curb imports. A quick action has come from the government side, but unfortunately the balance of trade is not getting solved to the extent that we desire. Elections is now one other factor that is predominantly in the minds of all economic administrators affecting the VUCA environment. Interest rates volatility, of which all of you must be very, very keenly worried. When customers come to me, the first thing they ask is about interest rates. Everybody would like to have the lending at the lowest possible rates. Unfortunately, that is not happening to the desire of the general public. Then there are governance issues in the country. In our day-to-day conversations as well, and also the statements that see all around, there is a string of volatility, uncertainty, and ambiguity. I'm just quoting one example. I don't know how many of you very keenly gone through the business line headline news yesterday. For the sake of curiosity, I was just counting the number of negative words or VUCA words in that article. That's all I did. I did not read the article. I was just counting how many words. It's a small article. In that small article, I found 12 words or statements which will convey a negative meaning to any reader. And also, any reader will tell that there is absolute volatility, there is absolute uncertainty and ambiguity and complexity in the economic situation. For your information, I would like to say what are the words that I found out in that article. It said, first is volatility in the bond and currency market. They use the word volatility. In the same next line, they use the word uncertainty in the market. The third, they said, tizzy. Markets does not go into a tizzy. Then they said, rupee under pressure. All the same articles. They were worried about inflation. Next is quell volatility. Depreciating rupee. Market fears. Tightness in liquidity. Weak economy. High inflation. These are 12 items in that particular small article, which if you go through very carefully will give you the strong conviction that we are living in a VUCA environment, in a volatile, ambiguous, complex and uncertain environment that we are living. This is what we are day in and day out seeing, reading. My point in highlighting this is to show that day in and day out, we speak the language of VUCA, knowingly or unknowingly. There is a popular saying that goes that what we think happens. So we fear, we are led to believe we are uncertain, we are ambiguous, complex, all this happens. But then, can we leave it like that? What is the antidote for this? Is there not a way out of this situation? I will come to this a little later after examining the banking landscape. I would now speak on my home turf, that is banking, the industry that I represent. Interestingly, when I think of volatility, uncertainty, complexity in banking, a joke comes to my mind. A lady goes to her local bank, walks into the manager's cabin and said, I want a loan. She also said that I want to divorce my husband. The manager immediately replied that we do not give loans for divorce, but we give loans for buying a house, buying home appliances, buying cars, and for home improvement. The lady immediately said, stop. You said home improvement? Manager said, yes. The lady said the loan and the divorce is for home improvement. I'm narrating this joke to show you how we think and create a chaos in everyday life through a volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous behavior. By far the biggest factor that the public desire from bank is easy availability of credit and credit at low interest rates. I'm sure if you take a poll in this hall, what two things that people would like to have at the bank is easy availability of credit and then credit at very low interest rates. Unfortunately, both these two variables are volatile in nature, depending upon the broader economic picture. Take for instance interest rates. Stable inflation levels will lead to stable interest rates. On the other hand, rising inflation will lead to rising cost of deposits, which in turn will lead to increased lending rates. In some cases, the forces that drive turbulence cannot be fully understood or imagined with any degree of specificity. There will be some shocks, but there will also be beneficial surprises to come. I recall a news item that came a few months after the great tsunami that struck Asia on 26th December 2004. I'm sure that was one of the greatest tragedies that everybody still remembers. More than 220,000 people lost their lives and homes, and livelihoods of over 5 million survivors were destroyed. Amidst all the tragic news coming in the wake of the tsunami was a tiny piece of information that was not all about death and destruction. The tsunami has left behind about 40 million tons of titanium ore on the beaches of Tamil Nadu. Considering that the known global resources of the ore are in the region of around 285 million tons, and titanium is the most sought after metal in the world, the tsunami has left behind a treasure trove. Earlier I had raised a question, what is the antidote to volatile environment, and promised that I would come back later. To my mind, the volatile environment that we live in has to be faced through individual skill sets as well as through a collective social response. I would call these antidotes to volatile environment as 4 A's. Letter A, 4 A's. 4 A's of turbulence management. According to me, these 4 A's are accomplishment, affability, advocacy, and authenticity. I would like to state briefly about why I consider these as antidotes to the volatile or turbulent environment. Accomplishment. Dr. Rajkumar in his presentation was telling about this particular factor, accomplishment. Attributes of delivering results consistently and reliably. We have all heard of companies that just bloom overnight and then go away, fade away. That is the best recipe for volatile environment. If we do not want to have a volatile environment or a VUCA environment, we must be in a position to have a consistently and reliable delivering results environment. That both as individuals, you and I, as organizations, we must ensure that we deliver results consistently and reliably. You must have all heard of HDFC Bank delivering for the last 30 quarters consistent results of about 30% increase in profit. This is what every individual, when you are working in an organization, your performance also should be such that it is consistent, reliable, and delivering results consistently. The next factor is affability. What is affability? Affability is the developing agreeable relationships and getting things done in an appropriate manner. We must all develop the habit of having agreeable relationships. Agreeable relationship does not mean that we agree for whatever the other party says. It only means we respect the sentiments, views, observations of others, and we agree to disagree. That is an agreeable environment that we need to create. Affability. The third is advocacy. Advocacy is the skill of envisioning new ideas and persuading others to debate those new ideas. The most important factor that will quell the volatility and uncertainty of the environment, to my mind, is the advocacy aspect. This we must, as an individual, as an organization, we must develop this philosophy. It is a skill of envisioning. You must have a vision for new ideas. As much as an ideating environment to happen. Newer ways of doing things. Because you do a symposium this year in this fashion. Next year's symposium, you must do it in a different manner. That is envisioning new ideas, and these ideas has to come by persuading others to debate on them. Nothing will happen if we don't debate on certain ideas that come to us. And the fourth principle is authenticity. Authenticity is a perception that others develop about you. Mr. Rajkumar was telling that you be yourself, self-realization. I'm just touching only on that aspect also. Authenticity is a perception that others develop about you. we must be very authentic in whatever we say and whatever we do, so that others perceive that this gentleman is like this only. In other words, we cannot be a copycat of others. I was very happy when Dr. Rajkumar mentioned that about the origin of Eve, and there was an Eve. I was more particularly delighted when he said that Eve was black, dark. Because my wife always used to say that I am dark, as if it is a great drawback for her. Now I have a message to carry over to say that black is the original. All others are duplicates. So authenticity is a perception that the others develop about you. We must be original in ourselves. We must carry always the original self of us in whatever we do. These 4 attributes are required both at an individual level and also at the level of an organization or group of individuals. No single individual or organization is being singled out by the external environment for any tough treatment. Many of us as individuals or as organizations feel that the external environment is too tough for us, or is singling out, or it is just targeting us. The fact is the opposite. The environment is common to everybody, only the degree varies. We must internalize the message that a volatile environment is here to stay for long, and we must know how to live with that. All of us have at some point of time used or heard about Encyclopedia Britannica. I think the older generation would have known. At that time, it was a wonderful source of information. Everybody was proud to have this. But what is the position today? With the advent of internet and CD-ROM, the industry completely collapsed. The company itself incurred huge losses and was sold out. That is because we are misjudging the combination of events. Britannica case demonstrates how easy it is to misjudge the combination of events and the results. Finally, I would like to leave a message on learning from mistakes. The psychology department of the University of Pennsylvania provides a small dialogue about making mistakes and learning. We all believe as human beings that we should not make mistakes. And therefore, we are extra cautious in all things. That limits our ability. I'm just drawing these analogy to what Dr. Rajkumar has said, that he has told about many people who had failures with them. The same point is perhaps both of us had the same ideas, maybe the reason why we are common in that. I would like to outline this study made by the psychology department of the University of Pennsylvania, which went in a question and answer form. The question is like this. First question, what is the secret of your success? The answer is 2 words. The next question is, what are they? The answer is right decisions. The next question is, how do you make right decisions? The answer is 1 word. The next question is, what is that 1 word? The answer is experience. Next question, how do you get experience? Again, the answer is 2 words. Question is, what are they? The answer is wrong decision. So I started from right decision and ended up with wrong decision. The sum and substance of this dialogue is that unless at some point of time we are making some mistakes and learning from the mistakes, we will not grow. So there's nothing to be worried about the mistakes that has happened. But success lies in learning the mistakes, improving it to achieve better decision-making powers. As I always used to say to my subordinates in the bank, we must develop the habit to bounce back after near death. Dr. Rajkumar was telling about his bungee jumping and all these things. These are all near-death exercises. If you are practicing these exercises, you are going nearer to death and bouncing back, you will have much stamina and persisting power for facing the onslaughts of VUCA. And along with this comes my pet theme that enjoy what you do and do what you enjoy. I will end my talk by narrating a small anecdote which I consider a new way of looking at a volatile environment. It goes like this. When I was 5 years old, my mom always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up. I wrote down happy. They told me that I did not understand the assignment, and I told them they did not understand life. So my request to all of you here is to understand life and take the route to happiness. Exactly the same thing with Rajkumar was telling, that you must develop the habit of being happy inwardly. You cannot seek happiness from outside. There is no single prescription or cure for volatile environment. It is how we react individually and collectively that matters. There was a study in the United States done by the Harvard University in around 2001 or 2. They studied the lives of 240 men. The study was about happiness. They wanted to know the reasons why people are happy or unhappy. They have narrated 6 variables which they said they considered as a key to happiness, which was found common in all these 240 men. The variables were, this is as per the study: education, stable marriage, not smoking, not abusing alcohol. They didn't say that not using alcohol, not abusing alcohol. Some exercise and healthy weight. And the last but not the least, to develop healthy adaptation. So I will end by saying that let us all adapt well and make people happy to the best of our ability and skill. Let us all laugh and enjoy the life that is given to us. I think that would be one of the best antidotes that we can give to a very volatile environment. Thank you very much for this opportunity.